It's kind of like, I kept saying, like, this feels like Little Monsters with Howie Mandel and Fred Savage. That kind of fun dynamic. Hey guys, what's going on? Jeff Porter from Cinema Reactor. A little bit of a quick review today. Something we watched over the holiday weekend with the family that I ended up really enjoying, and I just kind of wanted to talk about it for today's show. So today we're talking about Netflix's new film Slumberland. According to IMDb, a young girl discovers a secret map to the dream world of Slumberland, and with the help of an eccentric outlaw, she traverses dreams and flees nightmares with the hope that she will be able to see her late father again. So to be completely honest, a big reason that the family watched this was because Jason Momoa's in this. Jason Momoa, Aquaman, Khal Drogo, he's just kind of become just an enormous star. And so we saw him in the Netflix thing, and we're like, like a cool, fun kids movie that everybody can kind of watch over the holidays. Let's turn this on. I think I ended up enjoying it a lot more than the kids. So before we get into the actual review of the film itself, I thought it was interesting that this film is based on a comic series that ran from 1905 to 1927. So it's kind of an interesting, it has kind of a lot of legs to work with. It's just interesting that something from 1905 has found its way to Netflix in 2020 and has become a pretty big hit. So in Slumberland, we meet this young girl, Nemo, who lives with her father in a lighthouse. They have a very close relationship. Her mother had died when she was very young, and so they formed this really close bond over the years. One night, there is a huge storm, and her father has to go out to try to help this ship that's kind of caught out in the middle. He doesn't make it back, and instead, she is sent to live with his brother, who they've kind of like lost contact with each other. They didn't really talk all that much. The uncle is played by Chris O'Dowd, which is really cool. I always attribute him to IT Crowd. I love that show. And to see him in this role, he puts on an American accent and stuff. It's really kind of weird not hearing that Irish come through. But he does a fantastic job. And at night, she realizes that she's kind of having a little bit of some lucid dreams going on. She's able to, she has a stuffed animal, this little pig that comes to life in her bed, picks her up and takes her out of the building. And it's this really cool dream world that we get to spend a lot of the movie in. This is where we meet Jason Momoa's character of Flip, who's kind of this outlaw character who just goes and crashes people's dreams and is just living his life. Throughout the course of the film, we find out that Flip actually doesn't remember who he is. And what he's been doing is going through these dreams in search of these magic pearls that will grant him a wish, and then he can remember who he is and wake up. Now, during this, we get this cool dynamic between Flip and Nemo that is kind of like, I kept saying, like, this feels like Little Monsters with Howie Mandel and Fred Savage. That kind of fun dynamic, because Momoa is playing this dream character that's this eccentric outlaw. He's got horns, he's an enormous person. And it just, I kept thinking that I'm like, this feels kind of like that. And there is a little bit of that like adult humor throughout where, my kids are like, what? And meanwhile, I'm just laughing my ass off. So Flip is looking for these pearls so he can remember who he is. Meanwhile, Nemo wants to find the pearls so she can wish for her dad back and she can come back to the dreamland and see him every night. Now, while the film itself is, kind of just a fun kids film, a lot of physical comedy, this beautiful dream world that they make up out of flowers, and it's kind of Little Monsters meets Inception is really what we're talking about here. It is a fun kind of adventure throughout. However, what I thought was really interesting is this film touches on loss and continuing on with life after you experience a loss, which I thought was really interesting, how it conveyed Nemo to accept the death of her father because he's still with her in her dreams. And I thought that was kind of a cool thing, cool underlying tone, especially for like the kids and stuff, where it's like, we're all going to experience loss, at some point in our life. And, a way that we can remember these people is through our dreams. We can still close our eyes at night and see some of those people. So we are going to get into some spoilers. So I will give you, a couple seconds to, click off the video, mute it, do whatever if you don't want to hear the spoilers. So we end up finding out that not only is her uncle, whose name is Philip, is actually Flip in the dream. We find out that Philip has stopped dreaming. He used to be so close with his brother, and they used to, go on all these fun adventures and play make believe and do all these amazing things, and then they just kind of drifted apart. While Nemo's dad went off, got married, had children, Philip kind of fell into a lull. He didn't know what to do without his big brother. And this is where his imagination, and his true self kind of got separated. Nemo meets Flip, Jason Momoa, who is actually the characterization of Philip's character that he would play with his brother. So it's interesting that we find out that, Flip can't wake up. Meanwhile, Philip can't dream. Flip. To be honest, it is kind of obvious for the adults watching. It's pretty easy to piece together, but for the kids to see that they're the same person, it was really. There are a couple of things throughout the film. Jason Momoa's portrayal, it did take some getting used to. The first 15 minutes, I swore this was a Tim Burton film, and he was supposed to be Johnny Depp. It felt like he was doing his best impression of this eccentric Johnny Depp character. So it did take a little bit to get used to seeing Momoa in that kind of a role, but he kind of embodied it. He kind of worked with it, and it turned out really well. I also felt that Nemo, Marlo Barkley, she looks like a fairly new actress, young actress. She did a very good job. I was very impressed with her ability throughout this movie, and she made it feel very believable. There are some moments where you just feel sorry for her, and she does such a good job of portraying those emotions and that sadness. I was very impressed with her. I look forward to seeing what else she does. So going into this film, not really expecting a whole lot. I just kind of expected another kids film on Netflix. I ended up really enjoying this. The whole family did. There is that underlying tone of dealing and accepting loss, while also having some physical comedy, some fun kind of back and forth like Little Monsters. I just ended up really, really enjoying this film. It is on Netflix right now. It is doing incredibly well there. I would definitely recommend this film. This is something a little bit different than what we've been doing, but with how popular it is and how much I enjoyed it, I just really wanted to sit down and talk about it for a minute. So if you're looking for a fun film that you can watch with the family, watch with the kids, or I would probably watch this again myself. I actually really enjoyed it. So it's one of those cool movies that it's kind of made for everybody, and everybody can get something out of it, and I really like movies like that. Go check it out. Available on Netflix right now, and I will see you guys on Friday.